Everybody loves a good artistic update. So I'm going to go back through the last 34 days or so of my art. Previewing now the good stuff. Wow. Really good. Really good. And focusing less on the new stuff so that you'll stay for the end of the video. I promise it gets better. Anyway, I just tried filming this entire video, but it cut off, so I'm very angry right now. And everyone knows that anger is the best emotion to start creating a video with. So, day 1, February. I did skip a few days, but that's kind of irrelevant because we all need a break sometimes. Anyway, I started off with some typography and symbolic drawings, just because, you gotta get the shit out of you before you start. There's a lot of shit in all of us. So you got, I'm part German ethnically, so they say that means that you, write hard on the page. Or for some reason, I don't know why. My dad told me that. Maybe it's true. So anyway, I write a lot of dark lines on the page. It doesn't really help that I use an HB pencil. I should probably switch to something lighter, because naturally I'm like that. I started off with a lot of anime anatomy, and I'd say that the first, 20 days or so are just me drawing these forms, trying to get masses of forms to go into each other and look believable. And I'm just trying out things with intuition, a lot of exercises that I just tried in Michael Hampton figure drawing to see if I could, draw some basic ellipses and things like that. Then I just wrote down phrases that I liked, like QWERTY with a period, like a Japanese period, a couple keys and a keyboard. Just, crunchy designs that appeal to me. More anime, I started trying to go in with more rigor, because this doesn't look like a human. So I drew another one that looked slightly more like a human, and this one looked even just slightly more like a human than this last one. But I was drawing it from head on, so I don't know, I'm just trying to limit the number of things that I could fuck up. You know what I mean? So, yeah, Dirty Dan and the Dirty Dan hat. There's a lot of little Easter eggs in these drawings. I think that makes them fun. Experimenting with head heights. It's more anime. I just drew anime women for so long. Japanese handwriting, math problems. Flarp has always been important in my life. Data is also very important, so I put it on this page. High pass and low pass filters in Ableton. Ableton Live. I just wrote down the name of a computer program. God, I'm so funny. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I am. So let's keep on going down the memory road. This is day 6. For some reason, I wrote down the size of the pencil I was using each time. I was drawing paper airplanes, and now this is going to be my new fascination with forms. Sometimes I would go back and I would make little corrections, I didn't think I got the crotch quite right here because I made it fold in these weird lines, and I thought it belonged like that, so I came back later on, and sometimes I correct with either a red or a blue pen. Crap, I didn't mean for that one to fall down. But anyway, well, it's here now, so we can't undo that. All right, so red or blue, or even sometimes yellow just makes its way into your life. And I use those to make corrections, to remind myself that I wasn't thinking that on the day that I drew it. See, I drew this on February 12th, day 7, but then I came back on day 14 and I made some corrections. It's always good to see where your eye is at a few days later. Anyway, I went into the Michael Hampton book on figure drawing. And it's really nice because he gives you these landmarks that you could break down the form with. I like putting forms over the figures even after I've drawn them because they just make everything feel right, Again, kind of checking my intuition here. I tried drawing cylinder-like shapes. And some of them go well, but I had to learn to draw a donut, which was super interesting. Because you'd think that it just goes, right? But there's a little overlap spot right here. Kind of hard to describe, but if you see these two pictures, there's a little subtle difference. You see how there's a curve? I don't know. So it got me into my obsession with drawing donuts from Scott Teplin. A lot of artists I like. Again with the typography, the Japanese, the English. I think it was Valentine's Day here, so I wrote alone forever because I'm alone. I just drew some weirdo stuff. Yeah, I don't know why it looks like I was kind of negative on this day. I remember that you'll never be good enough. Yeah, just I wasn't feeling so great on this day. But then I drew some not reference drawings, some figures with gesture drawings. I was gonna say suggestion drawings. No, that's not a thing. I need music to draw. I don't know why I wrote all these notes to myself. I was like a teenager when I did this. I wrote down Mr. Squidward. Squidward's looking much better there. Head. Yeah, I don't know. I really like drawing something experimental where I can't make any mistakes. Something so simple and like really just understanding its form. I don't know if I'll ever stop doing this though. You know? And you want to get it to the point where you can do it all with your intuition though. So I always try to practice my intuition, sort of. Anyway, I practice my intuition by drawing all the muscles as I remembered them on the left. And then I actually referenced something that had the real muscles locations. So the left side is kind of like the wrong muscle locations, but the right side is like more correct. It's not an actual anatomical book. It's an art book on anatomy. So maybe it's not perfect, but super cool exercise though. And I did that for the back too in a couple days. Oh yeah, I almost forgot about this. So this is my other favorite thing to draw. I always like to take this stuff and make it digital. I would draw stuff that's kind of inspired by like Lyrical Lemonade or Ed, and Eddie or any kind of cartoony stuff. What day was I on here? I think this is a separate sketch. Day 10? Day 11. Here we go with more muscles. Super fun. I started drawing astronauts, space stuff, ice cream, donuts, straws, magazines. I don't know why. They're just like they're super interesting to draw. Yeah. Back with the anime. Like I get off this anime kick, but I was on this anime kick for so long, and I was really obsessed with making the eyes more emotive. So I started to just draw like anime eyes that had some extreme emotions, because I could only draw them like this when I first started, but I realized that it didn't just always look the same, and a lot of different artists picked different styles, some of which looked more emotive. They all chose different media to convey emotions. Super, super cool. Ice Cream, the Blend S title, more anime. DNA was super fun to draw, and here I got into drawing like little symbols. I think they start off with the astronaut, and I've been kind of on this kick. So I did a little bit more than that, and then I got kind of tired of drawing. I think I missed a day there. And then I drew this figure because I really wanted to just be able to draw like an anime girl that looked not just like blithely happy. And then it just came out in this really like weird, like anxious looking expression. And like that, like I succeeded in that way, but this just looks kind of weird. like the legs have no depth. But there are things I like the hands, even though that I didn't attempt things. What I did do was kind of right, you know? So I was okay. More smiley face emotions. You know what? If you could at least draw it as a smiley face, that means you could transfer it into like a more real looking picture. So there really are a lot of things you could do with just a few lines. Quite amazing. I'm sure I'm only scratching the surface as well. By this time, I was getting tired of anime, but I was getting better at it. So I think this was my favorite face that I drew. Just like, it looks just kind of blank and like discovery. I don't know. It's discovery. For some reason, it's fascinating. Anyway, more astronaut ice cream. A lot of formulas. This was kind of like the peak of my interest in typography. And I think it kind of declines from here. I started drawing figures on top of each other. So like something falling onto something else. If you notice in the last pages, nothing's ever touching each other in my earlier sketches, which is kind of bothering me. And I liked having things on top of each other. I don't know, it felt like it gave it kind of like the illusion of depth a bit more, rather than looking like it was on paper. It looks like you're looking into an actual scene, braids of hair. Man, there's really a lot that went through my head. I think that's a bubble tape dispenser, an egg that's been cracked open, fun arrows. I think this is just a whole amalgamation of a lot of crap. So then I wanted to challenge myself because I'd drawn so much anatomy, but I still wanted a challenge and something that would make me better. So I noticed that I was good at drawing the hands in only a couple different positions. And I was riding on like a bus and a train on some of these days. So I just started drawing hands that I would reference, either my own hand or from a book that I had. Like I said, some of them are referenced, some of them are unreferenced. I kind of mark them where they are or aren't. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. But, you know, like when you do something bad, you learn about how your mind works so that you can fix that, kind of. Or, like, get better at drawing. Like, this one was unreferenced. I think that one looks pretty good. This one looks not as good, but it's unreferenced mostly. I mean, the weird part about hands is you can kind of always reference a hand. Like, you have hands. I mean, assuming that you have a hand, which you probably do. But, I mean, either way, you could always just look one up. All right, I'm not going to dwell on that topic too long, though. So then I started drawing these strange things that were entering my imagination. I really wanted to draw this guy. He just kind of came out of nowhere. I was watching a lot of Meat Canyon and I was watching Scott Teplin too. So he does like super quirky stuff like this. Just something that looks like really grotesque, like a worm crawling out of a donut. Like, or maybe it's like an ice cream worm or something like that. I don't know, just something that looks super slimy. I like that. And it's got to try out like new shading patterns. More Scott Teplin references here now. This stuff is really fun to draw, really cool. Like a tree with a branch going into the branches, you know? Just something real strange. This one looks just kind of funny. They're all super funny. And then I started drawing these kind of organic shapes and just seeing how overlap could get me a sense of depth because I really wanted that kind of illusion and depth in my drawings. A little bit of stippling too. Slime, snakes, like organs, cubes that look like meat. And I was using these T-junctions or junctures or whatever you call them to show depth. It's just a new way I was gaining the sense of illusion, which is super fun. Like a ball of organs or something being eaten by a big mouth. Like 2 donuts in a figure 8. There's just some weirdo stuff in here. This was super fun. I wanted to make a tree, and I wanted to practice the textures on a tree, to practice stippling and hatching and cross-hatching. So I did. I tried the bark. Some of it I was happy with, some of it I wasn't. But then I made the whole bottom turn into organs because I was getting really good at drawing this thing, but I was still bad at drawing some of these things. Later on, I did figure out how to get this kind of leafy texture, but it was a lot of experimentation here. And a guy throwing a donut at the tree, or maybe like the tree is just, or maybe like the donut has just been flying through the air at this guy and he's getting, but it certainly looks like he's throwing this donut at something else. Yeah, that's the story I'm going with. And then this slime coming out. I think that was a Scott Teplin reference again. Super fun. More textures. I experimented with wood, but I was kind of running out of time and losing patience here, so I gave up on this kind of early. My next foray was with watercolors. I really like Scott Teplin's watercolors, and I wanted to try my Winsor & Newton ones, so I just went with it. I made a whole sheet of these things, and I was experimenting with like the paint saturation, base coating, all kinds of stuff here, really. And I think this was some of my favorite stuff to draw. Really challenging is finding the right amount of water to get on your brush because you don't know when you start. Like maybe you have too much water, but maybe you don't have enough. I didn't really like the ink. I wrote that I hate the look. Just super informal notes. Like I kind of study it. I study my own intuition when I start these things until I find a result that I'm happy with. I tried base coating here like he does. This came out really nice, I thought, of all my colorations. Yeah, I'm definitely going to base coat in the future. And then I tried some actual watercolor paper because that's what you're supposed to do. And I had a friend send me some other types of watercolors. They're like pigment-based or something. I guess they're like not true watercolors. I was looking up a video on them. That's okay though. I sometimes everybody lies, but you try to make up for it. But yeah, like super fun to shade these things, just adding the sense of depth. And I still think this is one of my favorite pages that I did the whole time because it's just like it looks super. It looks like something out of The Legend of Zelda. Yeah, I don't know. This is 30 days here. The watercolor paper is super nice, though it's kind of expensive. I'd like to find more to do with it. And then I went back. So I really like this watercolors look, but I knew I wanted to get better at pencil drawing, and I was getting sick of drawing forms and anatomy, so I just wanted to experiment with like texture and light for a little bit. So I've kind of gone back and I've tried to copy some of Scott Teplin's textures, and they're super crazy how he does them. Anyway, I looked really closely, and I think this is how he does it. It's like very hard weight with which he's writing with the pen. He's kind of like writing with the pencil almost when he's making this bush texture, or I'm convinced he is. I can't talk to, well, I haven't talked to him. I could talk to him, but I don't know, maybe he's busy. We'll see. This tire I also liked. That was from him. And then I went on this YouTube channel. I can't remember, but you could probably look up like pencil shading techniques or pencil techniques, and you'll probably get the same video. You'll know what one it is because it's almost exactly like this. But yeah, hatching, cross-hatching, stippling, random scribbles, circling, blending, rendering. I think there might be one more or something like that. But they're all just ways of showing something with pencil. I really am a fan of the stippling, both hatching. I think naturally I go for the blending, but I like the graphical styles, like me personally. So I'll definitely be doing those in the future. Plus, they work really well with the watercolors, especially this one. And whatever you call this, I guess, just like hard texture making. Texture is definitely an area I need to explore more. Anyway, I combined it all in some you gotta bring it all back and just kind of draw aimlessly for a little while. That's how you develop hand-eye coordination, I guess. But sometimes you just draw the same thing over and over again, too. So then I went back to ZHC, another one of my influences, whom I've always wanted to draw from. You could probably find his YouTube channel. And he used to do a lot more stuff like this with like the superhero art. And I think this is how he got really like big in the first place, because he was doing stuff based on David Finch and Jim Lee. And I've been looking up their drawings because this was not that hard to make. I followed one of his tutorials, but I'm convinced you could do it. You know, it doesn't take too much pencil skill. And a lot of it was just hard, like, honestly, I went right in with a pencil, and I wasn't even being delicate, but I got this look. Super nice. But then I tried the next day, just going back on my own. And there are some spots where my intuition fails, like I messed up the chest shape. But I like to do that, you know, reference something, come back, see if you could do it with your intuition, and then go back again later and try to fix the errors. That way you kind of internalize things. This is another ZHC reference. Probably the best thing I've done in here now that I look at it. I mean, it is a reference to his thing. But I was just glad to see that my hand could create this. It's Copics, some inks, and underneath it all is pencil. I sketched it all out in pencil first. But it's based on one of his videos. I don't know. I mean, I really like the look of this stuff, and I think it looks better than most of my other stuff. So I might go with this for a while. Obviously, I like so many different styles, so we'll just keep on going from there. But it's just nice to try something so totally different. And I liked it, too. Anyway, I just did some doodling and sketching today. Tried to draw like elbow pasta. And I guess I should show you that's it. It doesn't really end on anything super cool, so I guess I'll just go back to the Spider-Man drawing. Yeah, that was super, super fun to draw. But not really my own original idea. And I feel like, you know, like getting your own style is kind of overrated, because if you just kind of, you know, copy from your influences for a long enough time, hey, you know, eventually you will start to get your own thing. I'd really like to see what Scott Teplin anime ZHC looks like, so that's why I like to draw from all of them. And, you know, sometimes kind of create your own stuff as you go. I guess I should show off some of my stuff. I've liked working with these things. And this, I mean, there's a whole lot of pencils because I like to just have a lot to choose from. I like to work with cheap stuff because it's nice to know that you can always just draw a lot of it and not have to replace too much of it. Where did my Sharpwriter go? I had one of these Pentel Graph Gear 1000 in 0.5 millimeter. That's usually my go-to pencil. Trying out with different leads soon maybe, but these are really good. They're comfortable to draw with. I like these a lot. Then I recently got into this Stadler lead holder. I think this is what ZHC uses or used. It's kind of cool. I like how you can extend or bring back the lead. You can kind of get more emotional lines. I think that's what they call them in like those, art schools. To use the edge of the pencils, like so that you can get a, more emotional line. Yeah. And then I think Scott Teplin uses these sometimes. The Uniball Kuru Toga 0.3 millimeter lead, super fine lines, but sometimes it's just nice to be really precise with your lines. I couldn't find the other one. Was there anything else here? No, most of the other pencils I haven't used in a while. Sometimes I use these things. What are these? Bic pencil points. These are like the ones you do your math homework in, but I like that too, That's why I write math problems on everything. And sometimes I get super fun and use this eraser. I don't know, just different kind of toys to play with. I got a couple Copic markers too recently. These are fun. I really like the grays. I use some Copics for this sketch. I just like them because they're really expensive. I don't have a lot of them, but like they make me feel so rich when I write with them. I'm like, yes, let me burn my money when I draw with them. And they're also like, they just feel nice. I don't know what it is. Like the Pigma Microns. These things too. Actually, I don't know. I've got a collection. I don't really have a lot of multiples, but I try to get one of everything. I haven't done any buying of art supplies in a couple of years, though. I bought this all at once, and I kind of bought too much. So then I had to stop. I had to hold my horses because things were getting out of hand. I had just too many art supplies. But fortunately, now I could just kind of make art forever without having to think about that. But you know what? Like, whatever you're using, whether it's like your math homework pencil, that's why I like to work with math homework pencils, just keep drawing. Anyway, this is about 35 days of progress. It's too bad I missed some, but hey, I've kept at it pretty consistently, and I hope I get way better, and I hope you get way better, and I hope you reach your art goals too over the next 35 days or so, and I hope things go better for the world over the next 35 days, because it's been pretty crazy. Anyway, something to keep you busy while you're inside. And yeah, I hope you enjoy, and let's fill up the rest of the pages next. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.